In this video for Positive Maths, we're going to learn about income tax and net pay. So income tax is money that is paid to the state, which is taken from the wages and salaries of earners. People pay tax at two different levels, depending on how much they earn. At the lower level, they pay the standard rate, which is around 20%, and the higher rate is around 40%. Let's discuss tax credits and net tax. At the beginning of every year, every worker gets a tax credit certificate. This gives a value for the amount of tax that the person does not have to pay. When we calculate the tax, then we subtract the tax credit to calculate the tax payable or the net tax. So, the tax payable is equal to the gross tax minus the tax credit. So let's learn about the cutoff point. Along with the tax credit, each person is given a cutoff point. This is the amount of money that people can earn before they have to pay the higher rate of tax. Any money they earn over the cutoff point, they will have to pay more tax on. So this really has to do with the standard rate and the higher rate of tax. So, if Sarah earns $36,000 a year and her cutoff is $32,000, then she will pay 20% tax on $32,000 and she will pay 40% tax on $4,000. So where did we get the $4,000 from? Well, we have our $36,000 minus our cutoff, so $32,000 will give us our $4,000. So really, we're breaking up her gross income into two different parts. It's broken into her cutoff point and any amount over the cutoff. So then she's taxed at the lower rate on $32,000 and at the higher rate on any money above. So let's discuss finding gross income and net income. To find gross tax, so to find the amount of tax we should pay, it's going to be the gross income starting at the top. So we're given a gross income. Then we have the money below the cutoff point and the money above the cutoff point. So any money below the cutoff point is taxed at 20%, and any money above the cutoff point is taxed at 41%. Now, I'd just like to point out that we're saying around 20%, around 41%. We will be given the exact percentage that we need to use in the question. So it varies, but it's usually around 20 and 40. So to calculate the gross tax, we find the sum of the two values. So the tax at 20% and the tax at 41%. So now let's discuss finding net tax. So this is the tax payable. So we have found our gross tax. So this is the amount of tax that we should be paying. We subtract our tax credit. This will give us our net tax or our tax payable. And the last one is how to find our net income. So we have our gross income, which we had at the start, minus the tax payable. So this is the amount of tax we calculated in the second box. Our gross income minus our tax payable will give us our net income. So we're just noting that we're using the word gross for any money before we have any deductions. And our net, so our net tax and our net income is after the deductions. So when it comes to problem solving, we need to be able to calculate net income given our gross income and other bits of information. But we also need to be able to calculate different parts of this table. So we may need to calculate our tax credit. We may need to find cutoff points. So like in algebra where we have different variables and different parts that we need to find, it's the same idea here. We might not always be given all of the basic information and have to work to find the net income. Sometimes we have to work backwards. Sometimes we're given the net income and we have to work backwards to find the gross income. So that's what we will work on in the next videos. For more information, visit www.PositiveMaths.ie, email us at info@PositiveMaths.ie, and find us on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks for watching.